everyone. Welcome, everyone.
What would you do if you had my life? Work like me, had them stripes. Would you go hard just to have that ice? But I'm just still trying to have that price. Getting your cooking about to add that spice. Nowadays, dudes never had that fight. When the push bill, better burst your pipes. What would you do if you had my life? Work like me, had them stripes. Would you go hard just to have that ice? But I'm just still trying to have that price. Getting your cooking about to add that spice. Nowadays, dudes never had that fight. When the push bill, better burst your pipes.
The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN app. Get all of our picks and podcasts one location. Check out the SGPN app, free to download in the App Store. And welcome, everyone, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Currently Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning, around 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time on August 12th. I'm your host, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod, here to break down the semifinals in Montreal, taking place on Wednesday. Bit of an interesting schedule for the quarterfinals because it was supposed to be 2 days. One day got rained out, so instead they played all four matches on Tuesday. We'll recap those matches in a few minutes. Before that, though, a reminder to support the show, like, subscribe on YouTube. Also, find the podcast on audio-only platforms, Spotify and Apple. And a reminder to support the show. Either way, no matter how you consume it, you can help the show grow. Plus, check out the merch store on the SGPN website. A lot of great tennis gambling podcast merchandise. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs and hats now. So check out the options that we have. Think you'll like the overall selection. Also, a reminder to check out the Sports Gam podcast, giving away a $1,000 NFL bet with the phrase that pays. Tune into all 32 team previews for your chance to win. So moving on into the recap of what happened in the quarterfinals here in Montreal. Unfortunately, the lock and dog picks did not go well. We did lose both. For the lock, pretty annoying loss. We had Nakashima team total over 12.5 at minus 145. No regrets on that one. It was actually pacing decently in the second set, but Darderi could not convert a break point to save his life. He went 0 for 4 on breakpoint chances. In fact, it was actually 3-4 Darderi serving. And then he had a game point, didn't convert, and eventually ended up getting broken to lose the actual game. But we were actually on decent pace. He had multiple games with breakpoints in there. If Darderi wins the second set, we probably get there with the team total in the third. And then once Nakashima held in the 3-3 game, fighting off a breakpoint, Darderi had a couple of game points, blew those, but we were 2 games away, 2 holds away from winning from the Nakashima team total. Didn't get there, though, but no regrets. Darderi left a bunch of chances on the table, and Nakashima eventually did win in straight sets while going under the team total. For the dog, we had Morita alt spread. We had the plus 2.5 at plus 132. Well, decent early. He was up 2-0 with a break point to go up 3-0. And then Tien absolutely demolished him. So he lost a total of 3 games the rest of the match. Once he was down 2-0, Tien played out of his mind. Nothing else to really add. Morita did not play that well. I'm aware of it. But Tien overall, the court coverage was great. The shot selection was great. He had the ball on a string the entire day, and Morita had no chance. So either way, picked up a loss for the dog. But either way, once again, not a good episode for the quarterfinals. Try to bounce back here for the semis. And for the recap of the quarterfinals, mainly boredom because we had 4 matches and the favorite won all of them in straight sets. Nakashima did win 6-2, 6-3. Said before, the second set could have been a bit dicier for Nakashima, but Darderi just could not convert a breakpoint chance. Hoder ended up beating Fees again. Basically the same scoreline that we just saw in DC. And he won again, 7-6, 6-3. Shelton had the best match he's probably ever played against Mensik, as he only lost 4 games in the entire match. He only committed 3 unforced errors in the entire match. 3 errors in the entire match, which is insane to think about from Shelton. But either way, point is you saw Shelton really just dominate as he beat Mensik in straight sets. And then Tien also destroyed Marita. Decent start for Marita, then Tien locked in, and Marita had no answers. But either way, Marita also had a couple of breakpoint chances early. He just didn't convert on, but Tien got the job done, and either way, ended up seeing Tien win comfortably. But 3 of the 4 semifinalists are American, which is interesting. But either way, we'll see what happens in the matches on Wednesday. Nothing else to really recap, though, from the men's side, because the favorites won in every single match in straight sets. So really not too much drama. For the women's side, though, in Toronto, Goff ended up winning via walkover in the quarterfinals because Bencic was injured, so she had to drop out. And then Osaka choked. Osaka was up a set in the break. She also had 4 separate breakpoint chances in the 3-2 return game, and she blew those 2. Immediately got boomerang broken, and Rybakina came back and won. So Osaka had a golden opportunity to advance into the semis and blew it, and as a result, she still has not won a title on the WTA since the 2021 Aussie Open. It's been 5+ years, almost 6 at this point. Osaka was, I don't want to say cruising, because a lot of the games were 40-30s, etc. So each game was actually pretty close. But anytime you're up a set and a break and you're 2 games away from winning, that's pretty tough. But Osaka ended up losing a heartbreaker as Rybakina came back and won in 3. But only 1 match to recap there on the women's side because you ended up seeing Goff win courtesy of a walkover. Besides that, you had the qualifying start for Cincinnati, and rain definitely played a factor early on in the schedule. Overall, in terms of the shocking results, Bonzi had a pretty bad loss to Lajovic in back-to-back tiebreaks there, as he lost in 3. Perricard, still terrible, as Faja beat him in 3. Got broken 4 times. Not a good look for Perricard. It's one thing to lose in general, but you're an elite server. You're one of the best servers on tour. You're getting broken 4 times on fast hardcourt to Faja. I know Faja's not bad, but 4 breaks is embarrassing for Perricard. He kind of has to go back to the drawing board. But either way, a nice win for Faja there. Besides that, Halles ended up beating Kwan in a 3-set war. Faria ended up beating Basilashvili in straight sets. Nishikori won an absolute war against Komasanya as he won 7-5 in the 3rd set. Zhang came back and won. Trungaliti ended up beating Offner in the 3rd set tie break. You ended up seeing Budkov beat Gaston in 3 sets. Popperin got destroyed by Droget and saw Dam lose in straight sets. I don't think he's very good, but either way, a win for the Greek player. I'm going to butcher the name here, by the way. But Sakalaridis ended up beating Dam in straight sets, and JJ Wolf ended up beating Moshizuki. He was down a break in the 3rd, came back, and he won 6-3 in the final set. So a couple of interesting matches. Wu also won a marathon against McDonald, 7-5 in the 3rd. Qualifying, though, was pretty entertaining for Cincinnati. But either way, it was definitely more competitive than the 4 matches that we saw in the quarterfinals in Montreal. Nothing else to really recap, though. Time to move on into the breakdown of the semis in Montreal. Before that, though, reminder, brought to you by our sponsor. Check out Clutch Parlays, our new sponsor. They have predictions for every MLB game, NFL, college football, and the NBA. Predictions are also updated live during the game, so you can get updated odds after every pitch, every basket, etc. Also, they will tell you which sportsbook you should use to place their highest edge plays. There's also a leaderboard system. If you want to compete with others, it's very easy to use, very simple dashboard to follow. It's the one-stop shop for research and plus TV opportunities. And best part, get a free month with the code SGPN at sign up. Check out clutchparlays.com using promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Nordic Fantasy. Spreads, money lines, totals, and parlays all available on the platform now. Best Ball Mania, best way to play fantasy football. $15 million in prizes, $2 million for first place. And a reminder, there's a great sign-up deal. Your customers play $5, 50 bonus funds. We sign up Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the quarterfinals in Montreal. Time to move on into the semifinal preview. For the first match on the card, we have a battle of the Americans are last, actually. We have Hoder taking on Nakashima. For the matchup here, Hoder, of course, is a favorite, not a surprise. He's minus 213. Nakashima is plus 187. For the game spread, you have minus 2.5 or minus 3 for Hoder. Plus 3 for Nakashima is a plus 102 if you want the plus money. For the over-under in games, I see 21.5 or 22 flat. For the over 2.5 sets, I see plus 145. Straight sets for Hoder is plus 123. Nakashima to win a set is at minus 142. No history in the head-to-head for the path so far. Hoder we saw make the final in DC, and he looked exhausted early on against Mutet in round 1. Lost the first set. Since then, he's won 8 straight sets. He has been rolling against really good competition. So after losing to Fritz in the final in DC, beat Mutet in 3, beat Musetti in the media rematch in straight sets, beat Leheshka in straight sets, and beat Fees in straight sets. So overall, really good competition. He's beaten 3 straight top 20 guys, and he's done it without dropping a set. So a nice showing by Hoder so far. For Nakashima, he's been good. Definitely a tougher path in terms of sets drop, but an easier path based on opponents faced. Beat Darderi in the quarterfinals, ended up beating Rinderknich in a 7-5 third set, beat Droget also 7-5 in the third set, and beat Altmaier in straight sets after having a bye in round 1. Both guys were in good form in DC. Both guys lost to Fritz. But so far in the event, Hoder's definitely been the better player based on competition and based on, I'd say, the overall dominance we've seen on court. Yes, Nakashima did win in straight sets against Darderi. Then again, Darderi had multiple games with breakpoint chances in that second set, and Nakashima was able to fight them all off. But I do think the final scoreline was not as straightforward as it suggests, because Darderi definitely had some chances in that second set. Hoder, though, at the end of the day, had to fight off a bit of a delay in the middle of the first set against Fees. But Musetti, Leheshka, and Fees, I think, are all very solid players. I think they're all better than Nakashima. You could argue on hard court that maybe Nakashima is better than Musetti, but you get my point. I think that Hoder has proven time and time again, especially over the last couple of months, he's a force. A serious force on tour who's about to be in the top 10. So keep that in mind. But Hoder's proven over the past couple of months, he definitely is a guy who's dangerous on both clay and hard court. And he looks really, really good right now. Nakashima does have a better serve. However, we know that his return game can be quite underwhelming at times. Nakashima's first serve was kind of letting him down a little bit in the second set against Darderi, which allowed all the breakpoint chances Darderi had. But the point is, Nakashima, I do think, is going to have to serve extremely well if he wants to win. Nakashima ended up winning 60% of, he won 83% of his first serve points. He won half of his second serve points. But in the second set, he only landed 54% of his first serve. So the point is Nakashima's serve is going to have to be on point if he's going to end up winning, or at least making this match competitive. Not to mention the fact that Nakashima has been better in tie breaks lately, but historically speaking in his career, really an underwhelming tiebreak player. Hoder, though, I think is better. He definitely is the best returner left in the entire field. And if Nakashima's first serve percentage is not going to be, I'd say, over 60%, Hoder's going to eat that second serve alive. And I think that Hoder's going to end up winning in this one in straight sets. If you want to go for the spread, I don't mind that either. But I think Hoder in general is just a really bad matchup for a lot of players, especially for Nakashima, who's not exactly the best rallier. He's gotten better over the last couple of months, especially. The results speak for themselves. But if Hoder can capitalize on what could be some second serve opportunities against Nakashima, I think he'll definitely take advantage of those chances. And we know Nakashima in general is not exactly the best returner on tour. I think Hoder has a great spot. I'm going to go for Hoder in this one, 2-0 at plus money. If Nakashima wins a set, so be it. I think Hoder's going to win, though. I think he's better than Nakashima by a pretty decent margin, based on court coverage, based on, in my opinion, firepower, and based on overall shot variety. He really does outclass Nakashima in a lot of different areas. So for that reason, I'm going to go for Hoder, 2-0 at plus 123 as my thoughts for this one, but I don't mind him to cover the spread as well. Moving on to the next matchup, Battle of the Americans. We have TN taking on Shelton. Shelton's favored minus 168, TN's plus 149. For the spread in games, I see minus 2 for Shelton, plus 2 for TN. Over-unders around 22.5 or 23. Over 2.5 sets is plus 124. The under is minus 142. Shelton in straight sets is at plus 165. Tien to an ace set is minus 191. So for the matchup here, they faced off 2 times before, and Tien's won both. Now, I want to point out that one meeting was this year, Indian Wells. Tien did win in 3. The sets were close, though. There was a breaker in there, a 6-4, and then Tien eventually got the job done as he won 6-3 in the final set. Somehow won with 10 double faults. Not sure how that happened, but either way, Tien got the job done as he won in 3. Faced off on grass a couple of, I'd say last year in Mallorca, and Tien won that one in a competitive straight sets, 6-4, 7-6. Now, for the actual form of both players, both guys have been really, really good. Shelton has won all 8 sets here, beat Brooksby in round 1, beat Bergs in round 2, Fonseca in straight sets as well, and beat Mensik, only committing 3 unforced errors in the entire match. As for Tien, he's been great as well. He has not dropped a set over the last 3 matches. Did drop a set to Monfils in the first round, then beat Paul in straight sets, beat Tarante in straight sets, and beat Merida in straight sets. Both guys played really well on Tuesday, and the question is, can either guy repeat the performance in this one? Now, historically, Tien's had his number because we know Tien can keep the ball in play, and the court coverage is definitely solid, and Shelton usually is an unforced error machine. That was not the case on Tuesday, so you can argue that some regression might be in store for Shelton, just based on play style alone, where he was able to hit every spot and shot against Mensik, and now Tien's going to extract a ton of errors from Shelton, and Shelton might start spraying the ball over the court. That could happen too. However, we know Shelton's defending champion in this event, and we know that in general he does play very well in Canada. So you're looking at what is a really good matchup on paper for the semis. Now, of course, Shelton has the better serving numbers in almost every single metric. So just for reference, Shelton's winning roughly 15% more first serve points and roughly 18% more second serve points. Tien, we know, is a guy who mainly, I'd say, gets his victories based on his stamina, his overall consistency, and his return game. Shelton's the opposite. Shelton is not the greatest returner, ton of firepower, very tough serve to break, and we're going to see a battle of styles here in this one. Now, Indian Wells is definitely on the slower side, especially compared to other hard courts. This year wasn't as slow as previous years, but we also know Montreal does play faster than Indian Wells, so keep that in mind. But I think Shelton, in general, I would probably pick to win. It's an expensive price. Like, do I want to lay 168? Not really, especially with Tien being 2-0 in the head-to-head. However, I think we're going to see a close matchup. I think there's a reason why the over 2.5 sets is only a plus 124. I see a close matchup. I think both guys can have their moments. I think Shelton, if he finds a rhythm on serve, can definitely win a set, even via tiebreak. Tiebreak in the match, by the way, is only plus 100. So you're expecting a close match, at least based on where the odds are located. I think if Shelton ends up winning, it won't be easy. Same with Tien. I like the over in this one at 22.5. I think we end up getting a close matchup that comes down to the wire. Both guys are playing very, very well. And I think we're going to see a collision course between two guys who are playing really high-level tennis. Give me a very close matchup that comes down to the wire. I'm going to go for the over as my thoughts for this one. Going to wrap it up, though, for the semis in Montreal. Going to move on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, a reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor. So check out Circa, giving away at least $30 million in prizes for this year's handicapping contest for the NFL season. Sign up at Nevada, play from anywhere. Come out to Circa for contest weekend, August 27th, 29th, and get a great deal in a hotel room. Get 15% off your stay at Circa with code HB15. Also, if you're going to play the contest and you don't live in Nevada, you need a proxy. So head to footballcontest.com, use code HBN to get $50 off your proxy fees. And a reminder, they're brought to you by Novig. Check them out. They're available basically nationwide right now. They're back and available in almost every state, including California, Texas, and New York. Also, great reduced juice. Check out the great prices they have on Novig down the app. Great sign-up deal. Deposit $10, get $25 in trade credits, and check out Novig, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the breakdown of the two matchups in the semis in Montreal. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. For the lock, going back to the last match between TN and Shelton, give me Shelton team total over 12.5 at -147. Yes, we lost the team total on Nakashima. I have no regrets on that. Darderi had a bunch of breakpoint chances, didn't convert, and eventually Nakashima found a break en route to going under his team total. But Shelton, we know in general, tends to be involved in a bunch of long sets. There's been a 7-5 or 7-6 set in 8 of Shelton's last 11 matches. Also, Shelton has had a bunch of competitive matchups recently against lefties. 6 of Shelton's last 7 matches against lefties did not end in straight sets. Both meetings in their career had a tiebreak as well, and the only hardcourt meeting this year in Indian Wells did go to a third set. Shelton lost and still went well over this team total. I see a close matchup either way. I think no matter who wins, we get 3 sets in it. And even if Shelton does win in straight sets, tiebreaks only even money. So I do think there's a world where TN and Shelton end up holding enough to force either 7-5 or 7-6. But the point is, though, I think 12.5 is a pretty low number for Shelton. And I do think even though it's juiced, it should be a lot higher as far as I'm concerned. Both meetings had a breaker. We saw the hardcourt meeting this year go over, and Shelton lost the match anyway. Couple of paths to get there, but I think it's going to be a war either way. Give me the Shelton team total over as my lock for the show. For the dog, I'm going to go with Hoder 2-0 at +123. We know Hoder has been great recently. He's 8-1 in his last 9 hardcourt matches. Faced much better competition compared to Nakashima so far in this event. He's already beaten Fies, Leheshka, Musetti, and Mutet, compared to Altmaier, Droget, Rinderknech, and Darderi. Not to mention, Hoder ended up beating Fies, Leheshka, and Musetti, 3 players arguably better than Nakashima, all in straight sets. So I do think that Hoder's a bad matchup for Nakashima. I think that Hoder should feast on that second serve. But Hoder's been a wagon recently. We saw him look good in DC as well. And the fact is, Nakashima's been good, but also against relatively weak competition. I know Darderi's gotten better on hardcourt. I know Rinderknech is a guy who made a 1,000 final about a year or two ago. Do I think the path is that tough on paper? Not really. I mean, Nakashima's been favored in every round, and Hoder has had really good competition, and he smacked them repeatedly. So based on that, I think Hoder gets the job done 2-0 as my dog for the show. So once again, the lock and dog picks for the semis in Montreal. The lock's going to be on Shelton. Team total over 12.5 at -147. For the dog, I'm going to go with Hoder 2-0 at +123. Now for the schedule, bit tricky because Cincinnati does start on Thursday. So it starts the same day as the final for DC. So we're probably going to do the Cincinnati preview first, and then we'll probably end up doing the Montreal final tomorrow morning. Probably. That's Thursday morning, by the way. So we're probably going to do the final after the Cincy preview. Depends on which odds and outrights come out. But there will be a bit of a different schedule tweak than expected. But either way, going to wrap it up for the show. Support the podcast once again. Like, subscribe on YouTube, and find it on Spotify or Apple. Till next time, good luck.